Good evening, and welcome to NeutralNews, the program that observes the relentless churn of human activity and offers a quiet, contemplative shrug. Tonight we turn our attention to the annual re-emergence of a curious national ritual, a phenomenon involving brightly colored shirts, industrial levels of beverage consumption, and the collective, synchronized shouting of 90,000 people at a small inflatable sphere. We are, of course, talking about the English Premier League. We go live to our correspondent, Susan, who has been observing the preliminary stages of this mass hysteria with the detached fascination of a botanist studying a particularly aggressive fungus. Susan.
Neil, the cyclical migration of 20 professional football clubs to various rectangular patches of grass across the country has indeed commenced. The opening fixtures have been completed, resulting in a mathematically predictable spread of outcomes, ranging from elation to profound, soul-searching despair.
And this despair, Susan, it seems to begin long before a ball is even kicked. I'm referring to the transfer window, a period that, for the uninitiated, sounds like a designated time for exchanging faulty windows, but is in fact something far more baffling. You've described it as a high-stakes trolley dash. Can you break down the typical purchases one finds in the basket during this chaotic spree?
Certainly, Neil. The acquisitions generally fall into three distinct non-perishable categories. First, you have the Marquee signing. This is the equivalent of purchasing a ludicrously oversized, jewel-encrusted television just before hosting a dinner party. Its primary function is not entertainment, but to induce a quiet, gnawing envy in one's neighbors. It is a monument to spending.
A very expensive conversation piece. What's next?
Second is the panic buy. This occurs in the final hours of the window and is akin to the sad, wilting bag of salad one grabs from the reduced to clear section because one has fundamentally failed to plan a meal. There was no joy in the purchase, only the quiet desperation of filling a gap. And finally, we have the obscure foreign talent. This is like buying an exotic, unidentifiable fruit from a specialist grocer. It looks intriguing, it has a fancy name, and it might be a taste sensation. More often than not, however, it is discovered several months later, having gone quietly moldy at the back of the refrigerator.
A fascinatingly hollow victory. Now, once the players are acquired, they must, of course, play. And this is where a new element of complexity has been introduced in recent years. I'm talking about VAR, the Video Assistant Referee. It was brought in to eliminate controversy. You've explained its function as forensic geometry. But what of the human element behind the screen?
The VAR official operates in a state of hermetically sealed concentration. Neil, the room itself is often compared to a NASA mission control center, but for a venture with significantly lower stakes. We see intense-looking individuals in headsets, staring at multiple screens, communicating in urgent, indecipherable jargon, checking possible offside, review for a potential foul in the build-up, recommend an on-field review. They approach the task of determining if a striker's nostril was offside with the same gravity as guiding a multi-billion-pound rocket back to Earth.
It's an astonishing deployment of resources. The sheer processing power and high-definition camera technology focused on one man's big toe. One feels it could be better used to solve some of life's more persistent mysteries, like the location of one's car keys.
Indeed, the system's true genius is that it has not eliminated controversy at all. It has simply moved it from the pitch to a remote, windowless office park. It has transformed a spontaneous, passionate argument in a pub into a drawn-out technical debate over email, which is, I suppose, a form of progress. It has successfully bureaucratized joy.
Speaking of those on the touchline, let's discuss the managers. These individuals seem to exist in a permanent state of high agitation. You've compared them to highly paid supply teachers. What about their communication style? They seem to have developed their own unique and often baffling dialect.
That's correct, Neil. The post-match interview has its own rigid linguistic structures. A manager whose team has just been comprehensively outplayed will invariably state that his players gave 110%, a physiological and mathematical impossibility. That has become a cornerstone of the lexicon. He will then conclude that we go again next week, the stoic mantra of a man whose house is currently ablaze but is calmly planning his gardening for the following Sunday.
And what if they are asked about a particularly contentious incident?
In that event, the manager will deploy the classic phrase, "I didn't see the incident." This is typically used to describe an event that occurred 10 feet in front of him, was witnessed by 60,000 people, and has been replayed 17 times on a giant screen directly in his line of sight. It is a remarkable form of professional selective blindness, a skill honed over many years of intense media training.
It's a masterclass in plausible deniability. Of course, all this on-pitch and sideline drama requires interpretation for the masses. This brings us to the modern-day oracle, the television pundit.
Ah, yes, the pundit, usually a former player of some renown. Their role is to act as a high priest, deciphering the mysterious omens of the game for the layperson. A typical punditry panel can be compared to a committee of retired reverends, earnestly discussing the moral implications of a poorly taken corner kick. Their function is to state the blindingly obvious with an air of profound discovery.
What are some of the sacred texts of this particular religion?
The liturgy is built upon a foundation of unshakable clichés. Phrases like, "They just wanted it more," "The next goal is crucial," and the classic, "He's got great feet for a big man." These are not presented as opinions, Neil, but as fundamental, unchangeable laws of the universe, passed down from generations. The analysis rarely deviates from this script. One satirical solution proposed by industry observers is to replace the entire panel with a simple algorithm. If the home team is winning, it would generate the phrase, "They've shown real character." If they are losing, a clear lack of leadership on the pitch.
It would be significantly cheaper and arguably just as insightful. So, to summarize for our viewers who may still be grappling with this concept, vast sums of money are spent on acquiring employees in a panic. Their work is then scrutinized by a remote geometrician. Their boss lives in a constant state of existential dread while speaking in code. This is then translated into a series of meaningless platitudes by a panel of experts, and the customers pay handsomely for the privilege of having their hopes methodically dismantled over a period of 9 months. Is that a fair assessment?
It is a brutally accurate and commendably neutral summary of the situation, Neil.
Thank you, Susan. And so the great baffling carousel turns once more, a story of triumph, failure, and the eternal perplexing question of why a grown man is crying because his team only managed a draw away from home. We will, of course, continue to not get overly excited about it. Good night.